So welcome back to another video here in Pennsylvania, and it's time to film some more edible and medicinal plants that you can find out here in the wild or even in your backyard. And that's kind of where I am today, in the area behind where I live on my landlord's property. It's kind of some woods and swamp back here. We're going to look for a number of edible and medicinal plants here today. Today is a Saturday morning, April 22nd. So I've actually seen quite a few things back here already. Some that I'm going to film later and some that we already have filmed. Let me show you what I'm seeing. But the one thing I'm looking for is just up by the road, I think. Yeah, there's a little trail back here. Here's that garlic mustard. We filmed that earlier. There's some spring beauties down here. I'm going to film those a little bit later this morning. They do have some edible qualities to them. But let's head up to one road here. There's going to be a splash of yellow. Well, there's different splashes of yellow. There's some dandelions up here. Film those. Actually, there's something right across the way. There's winter cress right there, which might film later. But what I'm looking for is, oh, here comes a truck. All right, let the FedEx guy go past. But yeah, there's other yellow down here. Right over here. This is called Celandine. Let's look at some over here on my landlord's property. That's what it looks like. Celandine. Sometimes called greater Celandine because there's a lesser Celandine and they're remotely related. But yeah, the yellow flowers, 4 petals to each flower, and if you break one off, let the sap flow a little bit. It has this orange colored sap to it. Not so much on that twig. You can see it a little bit more on that one where I broke it off. It will stay in your skin. See my finger now? My finger there has that little orangish stain on it. So we'll grab a sprig of this and we'll go find a place to sit and talk about Celandine. Alright, so here we go. This is, like I said, this is Celandine. Sometimes referred to as greater Celandine. Like I said, there's a lesser Celandine. There's the scientific name, Celandonium majus. I think majus refers to the idea of greater. Celandonium? I had to look that one up. Apparently it's Latin for swallow, like a bird swallows. Apparently this is an introduced species that comes from Europe. So over in Europe, apparently these bloomed when the swallows would return in the spring. So that's how it got its scientific name. So there you go. And I do remember this stuff. Growing up at a farm, it grew grew all over the place. I remember even like making little. I loved gardening when I was younger. I still do. Hope to someday have a place of my own where I can garden again, but I used to dig this stuff up and plant it in flower beds because I thought the flowers were really pretty, but it's actually considered to be an invasive weed in some locations. And the whole plant is toxic. You know, I showed you that orange sap earlier. I don't know if you can see it oozing out the stems there at the bottom, but it definitely, like I said, definitely stains your fingers if it gets on you. But the whole plant is toxic, and I just read this morning that it's toxic to chickens. I always had chickens in the farm, but I think chickens tend to know what they should eat and what they shouldn't. I never had trouble with them eating this and dying, but apparently it is toxic to chickens and people. So Celandine does bloom throughout the summer. It can bloom as early as April and continue through August. So you can find it right readily. You know, it might be a weed in your garden, in your flower beds. I just found that along the roadside. So one of the things that make it toxic are something called alkaloids. Similar to the word alkaline. You know, acids are bad, but alkaline is on the other end of like the pH scale, so they're just as bad sometimes. But there are no edible properties of Celandine, but it does have a few medicinal properties. One of the main ones being using it for warts. That orange sap is supposed to be caustic and kind of nasty. I guess some people can get like a skin irritation from getting it on their hands. I never really had an issue with that, but supposedly, you know, if you have a wart and you break the stem off and rub that orange sap on it, I mean, it's not going to disappear in a day, but it's the kind of thing if you would apply it day after day after day, supposedly it will get rid of that wart. It like literally burn it off because those alkaloids can burn. Just like acids burn, alkaloids can burn too because they're on the other extreme of the pH scale. And there are a few other medicinal properties perhaps that people have used it for in the past. I wouldn't use these in modern times, but there used to be a belief back in the day that if a plant was shaped a certain way or a certain color, they believed it was associated with a certain body part. I think I talked about a plant recently, not in this series, but something called a round-lobed hepatica. Of course, hepatica means referring to the liver, but the leaves had 3 lobes, and so does your liver, so they thought that plant was good for your liver. They also think that celandine was good for your liver back in the day, because that orange sap, I threw the plant over there, that orange sap resembles the bile that is produced, by your liver, well, in your gallbladder, but they thought it was made in the liver back then. So it looks like bile, and they thought that because of that this plant was good for liver issues. There's a name for that idea, thought. I can't remember it offhand. Maybe I'll put it down below if I remember what it was. So that's how they would look to nature. They thought, different plants resemble different organs of your body, and that's what they were used for medicinally. Probably not always the case in modern times, but there's some other uses in the past. Some people thought this plant was good for your eyes. There's an old account where somebody said it would help to remove the phlegm from your eyes. So I'm not sure what that meant, but the Romans would use it as a foot refresher. I'm not sure how that worked either. There are also some accounts of it being used to help relieve toothaches as well, but I wouldn't try that. I think they chewed on the stem or something, but considering that it's technically toxic, I wouldn't try that in today's times. So if you want to use it medicinally, probably the only thing to use it for would be, you could try it on a wart if you want to get rid of a wart. I think I did try that when I was younger, but I didn't have the patience to, apply it every day. I think I would just put it on occasionally. It would form like a brown crusty layer over the wart, but like I said, probably if I kept using it, it would have gotten rid of them. Those warts are long gone for other reasons, but yeah. So that is greater, or somebody just referred to just as plain celandine, if I could talk. But as I say in all these videos, if you're going to use celandine in any way, medicinally or otherwise, make sure you do your own research first. Don't just trust my own words on here or anybody else online or in a book. Do your own research first. Keep yourself out of trouble, because this plant, like I said, this plant is toxic. The alkaloids in there can cause issues. Sometimes it's referred to as like a dark medicine, because it can be helpful in some ways perhaps, but could also cause damage if used improperly as well. So keep that in mind. So that'll be it then for celandine. You can, like I said, if you have a wart, maybe you can try it, or you can just enjoy the plant as it grows along the roadsides and stuff. It's beautiful yellow color, folks. So I'm going to do a few more plant videos here this morning, but I'll probably upload these videos like staggered, mixed in with some other ones. But that'll be it for now, folks. So hopefully I'll see you on another video, probably with another medicinal plant here.